cracked and my mouth is dry. I watched the wind drift into the sky. Sowed my seeds, there was nothing there. It's a ghost town around here. Around here. But I dream in rose and I smell the groves. I wanna feel the water running down my nose. Times are tough and drop down low. You know my little baby, she needs new clothes. We need a rainmaker. We need a rainmaker. We need a rainmaker. We need a rainmaker.
And you're back with In the Groove. This is Joseph Timmons, your host, and In the Groove is produced by Xombiewoof Magazine and sponsored by Marshall Electronics, MXL microphones, the future of audio technology available today. And today we have Jeffrey Halford on the phone with us, and his latest album, Rainmaker, I think is one of the, best blues-based and kind of folk-based album that's come out in a while. Now, I'm sure that once he gets on the line and starts talking to us, he'll give us a little bit more detail on what's going on in the album. But the key element of this is, it is just that good. It is just a very good album. And even if it's not your normal cup of tea, I suggest you get it for your collection. So, Jeffrey, if you would.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here, and thank you for the compliments on the record.
So, tell us about the album. I mean, Rainmaker, when you first hear the title, it doesn't really speak to you on what the subject title is. Did you do that on purpose, or was it just sort of in conto with the song that you created?
Well, I was trying to, this is a compilation of songs, and then I recorded about 20 songs, and I don't know how to do it. There are 11 songs on the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that Rainmaker, I've always been an American Indian, I've written many songs about American Indians, so I was just kind of, the song has a certain kind of voodoo on it that I thought, that represented the album,
Right. Well, now, when I was doing the research on the article...
And there's been no rain in California, so I thought, absolutely no rain, and it doesn't necessarily mean, you can be a rainmaker. I'm a freaking full-time rainmaker. I'm self-employed, and I'm just like running around, constantly hustling work, and playing music and teaching people to play music. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You got to make it rain, man. Trying to raise money,
Well, when I was researching material about you, when I was writing the review on your album, some very interesting, colorful history that you have. Would you go ahead and just elaborate that history for us? I mean, when did you start playing through now? There was just a lot of stuff there, and I think coming from you, it would mean more to the readers.
Sure. I mean, there's so much. I had kind of a crazy background of moving all around California and from Texas, blah, blah, blah. Never lived in one place very often. And then, you know how you are as a teenager, you're kind of like trying to find your groove. And then, I found a guitar. So started playing my guitar, and I went to, it's hard to do that, what you just asked me, because I'm in my early 50s, and I've just got so much in my head on life. So I can edit it and give you the more interesting parts, which would be, I relocated to San Francisco when I was about 19. I was going to architecture school. And on the way to architecture school, I ran into these just badass street musicians. And I'd walk by them every day, going to school. Or, probably 3 times a week. And I just remember seeing these guys going, oh, my God. And I was in a band in Berkeley. I lived in Berkeley, and I'd commute to the San Francisco, and then I was going to architecture school. So I passed these guys for about 3-4 months. And then finally I worked up the nerve, and I said, hey, can I play with you guys? And the guy, he was a kind of a famous underground blues musician named Jimmy Ventilator. And he played with like Johnny Shines, who was I think Johnny Shines played with like, if you look in the Delta Blues history, Johnny Shines played with all those Sun House and stuff like that, right?
So the classic artists.
Yeah, those guys. And so, but Jimmy played everything from old Fleetwood Mac blues to, Beatles to Ventures to, this is what he was playing on the street when I saw him, to everything. And he wrote his own songs. So, and he had this really cool drummer named Harry Spider. So they finally, long story short, they finally let me join the band. And I kind of like went under this guy's wing for about a year. And this guy was a character. He just like lived in a hotel room and, with his guitars and just massive stacks of vinyl. And we'd play on the street in the day, and I didn't go to school that much. I'd go to a little school, but I was just loving playing on the street with those guys. And then when we were done, we'd go back to his hotel room and just listen to vinyl, and get high. And that went on for a while. It was kind of like it was kind of like music school for me. I'm a self-taught guy. I never went to any sort of music school. I just listened to records. And my dad was a huge, my dad was a music freak, definitely. Like he loved like Benny Goodman, Stan Kenton, and Ray Charles. Those were his people, And then my brother was a, Doors, Leon Russell, Jimi Hendrix, Rolling Stones freak. So that's kind of what I grew up around, and then I got involved with these blues guys. It wasn't blues, but it was based in blues, And so that was, then I got off to my start. Then I went back to my band in Berkeley. And then, and we started playing, my band basically started playing stuff like, we were playing Eddie Cochran, we were playing All the Muddy Waters, we were playing Bo Diddley, like a lot of the,
Right, playing music from your influences.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff we played, right, when we first started, when we were, 18, 20-ish. And to tell you the truth now, I think the kids, go play fucking Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry and go play the roots music, man. And then you get that as your basis. So that's how I started playing. And then I just started, playing clubs, and, then it all started, man. I was just playing clubs all over the Bay Area. Then I'd play down in LA a lot too. And then I started touring, and the rest is history,
Well, I got two kind of questions for you here. Actually, question on two different songs on the album. One, play some vinyl. Now, obviously, this is referring to, sit there listening to music. I mean, did you get a lot of your influences from artists from listening to records and vinyl? Do you, why did you select that as a topic?
Oh, well, first off, it's if you notice, well, I mean, vinyl's the best. You throw on you take a nice Onkyo or, I said Grundig there, and you drop the needle on a piece of vinyl, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you're there. It's just so, Neil Young writes about it in his book now. There's just a whole, experience of listening that's, there for you, and it's so real, and it kind of gets inside you, and that's how we grew up. There'd be these records in the rooms, and they were just like, it was heavy shit, It was great, and we had such a better appreciation for music than, say, because digitally, these kids listen to it digitally. It's just not what it is, what you're listening to. If you read Neil's thing, you just don't get the range of all the tones, and everything's missing.
Well, it sounds kind of flat, actually. It's like...
Yeah, you probably know more about this than I do, but I just know when, part nostalgia and part my ear, which I've got a good ear because I think I make records and my ears get good.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it melts me when I listen to the vinyl, and then here's the trip. This is why I wrote the song. because all the I'm running into all these 20-year-old, 18-year-old kids, and they're all buying vinyl. They're like, fuck it. Down at their local record stores around here, all the kids, the college kids, are back all over the vinyl. I got my kid in his record, in his room, he's got a vinyl player right by his bed with, like, Leon Russell Shelter People.
Yeah, I mean, vinyl's made a major resurgence, and I'd love to see some of your stuff on vinyl. That's
I know, and
you
know what? It's expensive. I got funded on that last record for another pressing, and I just I need somebody to help fund me on that. But God, I'd love to take some of that stuff to vinyl. I really would have got a bunch of, who doesn't want their stuff on vinyl, right?
I mean, like an A side would be Rainmaker, the B side would be Mexico. Those two songs.
Those are the songs that I'd frickin' choose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, those would be like, those are my favorites. Like that song, Rainmaker, and Mexico. I thought those were really good. There's, those are strong tracks, and it's not because when you go in and make records, you're very much about who you play with and what the vibe is, and so that's why it took me so long to make that record, because I was recording for 4 years and just like, God, I'm just repeating myself, and it sounds like something else I did. I'm just copying, and so finally I went over to, I just, that's why Brian Wilson probably went into 8 million studios, I bet, for those songs. Because you go into these places and you look for something. I know I can't really say what it is, but they say, wait for the magic to come in the room, right?
Yeah.
And so I started building songs in this one guy's studio, and there was some magic shit going on Rainmaker, so I was like, oh shit, now we're on to something. Once that song was recorded, I was like, oh shit, I got an album here. I got a vibe I want to go after, which was kind of like Lost Highway, that kind of Delta rock with I don't know, it's like a painter or whatever. He starts getting some good colors going, and he's like, I got to go after this. I got to go after this.
Well, I mean, I picture you, like, if you ever did a video for that song, for Lost Highway.
Which one?
Lost Highway. If you ever did a video for that, I just totally picture you sitting on, like, one of those huge red gas cans on the side of Route 66 with a Resophonic and just plucking away, the dust kind of blowing past, tumbleweed rolls in the background. And then you end the song and you stand up and you put your thumb out, and an old red pickup comes up. You jump in the back and it just takes you down that highway. That's the video I see for that, and that's like
awesome. Yeah, that would be. I've wanted to do some video, and I just went into Bob Weir's studio up here from the Dead, and he's got this bitchin' studio, and I went in and I shot some live guitar stuff, and it turned out really well. I mean, I'm very visual. I'm like, you sound like you're the same way. If you can put together something like that off a song. But that's how my songs are. They're very visual. So my music, I think, has suffered because I haven't had videos, because I feel like, they're little movies in, if you can...
if they're done right,
if you think, I'm very image-oriented, and if you think visually a little bit, I think you'll really like my music, because that's kind of how I think.
I mean,
thank you.
I first heard that album. I just kept playing it because, I mean, a lot of people think, okay, this guy just listens to an album and he writes a review and that's it. They don't understand. You have to listen to that album time and time again. Listen to it, put it down for 2 or 3 days, listen to it again, so you can pick up all the subtle nuances and everything.
Well, it sounds like you're like a music freak, just like me and my son and a lot of people. That's how we listen to records. I remember we'd buy records on vinyl, and you'd listen to the first couple times, and the rap would always be, I listened to it 3 or 4 times. It wasn't that good, but by about, after I listened about 10 times, it's like the best album I ever, I mean?
Some songs that clicks right from the start.
Yeah, some albums start off weird, but if you listen to them a lot, you start getting into it,
Well, the next song I want to ask you about, and I understand, you're pressed for time, and I'll try and make this question brief so we can move on, but Cry of Hope.
No, we're good.
Cry of Hope, I mean, you hear the title, it sounds like a really somber piece, but it's not. But I kind of wanted to get what were you thinking when you wrote that, when you performed it? I mean, it's one of those songs that you're like, I get it, but where did it come from?
Well, I mean, if I was Bob Dylan, I'd say, hey man, that's just for you to interpret, and a lot of songwriters like to do that, just let it to your interpretation. But I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I wrote that when frickin' Obama was elected, man. Right when Obama was elected, I said, here it is, bam, it just came out. I was so stoked that he became president, that we kind of got over the black thing, and we just, it was to tell you the truth, Obama was the first president. I'm not really a political guy at all, but he was really the first president that I could ever really relate to. The guy's, he's kind, he's well-spoken. I mean, everybody has their criticisms about him or whatever, but, he's the kind of guy I wanted representing my country, kind, well-spoken.
He's also an image of the American dream.
Yeah, exactly. He came from nothing. He's the president. He's just like, I was like, wow. And so I had written another song, too, I wrote that song and another one that didn't make the album. And it was like, just everybody help each other and everybody be kind to each other. And that's what it's all about. He kind of like really promoted. And he's after all the bullshit, he's really going out with a bang. I think he's doing a fantastic job,
Well,
and so that's what that song is like. But one really interesting thing happened with that song is I was in Sonoma, and I was riding down the highway, and it was a windy day. Sometimes it gets windy as hell up there, right? Mm-hmm. And some guy, and it's in the first verse lyric. This is true. Some guy climbed up this tree, a eucalyptus tree, and tied this big ass American flag, and it was huge. And it was like, that's where the song kind of like hit me. I pulled over the road and said, "Holy shit!" And this guy had tied this flag, and it was huge. It was like 20 by 20 or some shit, right? Enormous American flag, just blowing in the wind, and I was like, whoa, man. And I kind of imagined, maybe he was fed up and like flew the damn flag to remind people, or I don't know what it was, but that was kind of sometimes songs are written or stories just from one little incident that kind of kicks you into it. Mm-hmm. So those were the couple incidents that wrote that song.
A couple more questions I have for you real quick. Well, I don't know if you can answer them real quick, but your music strikes me, since you brought up the flag, I'll bring it out like this. Your music strikes me strong of Americana. Not down home per se, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but dyed-in-the-wool American music. I picture you on a stage at like one of those revivals, playing guitar and people stamping their feet and dancing, clapping their hands, like those big tents out there where they have the religious revivals and snake handlers and stuff. That whole image of America.
Yeah, that would be cool.
America
nice.
with just a hint of mysticism. There's like a spiritual side of being an American that unless you kind of tilt your head to the left and squint, you can't see it. And it's like, that's the kind of image I get. I mean, just looking at the album cover, the kind of jacket you're wearing, guitar, it just reeks of this is home. And
yeah, absolutely. Well, I love, you said gas can by the side of the road. I love all that. There's something about, I grew up in Texas at a very young age, and in 1960, and, I just was like kind of around transistor radios and Texaco signs and cowhide and steer and, all that shit. So there's Dr. Pepper. I was right next to the Dr. Pepper factory. I don't know what happened. And then then when we moved, I lived on the beach in L.A., and there was just like cool fast food joints
everywhere. That's kind of a weird transition. That's like being from a farm and then the next day winding up in Venice Beach. I mean, that's a weird
No, we were
transition.
Dallas. We were Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dallas, kind of outside of Dallas, and it wasn't farmy at all. It was just more like,
But you
just have that tech. You can't get away from that Texas thing, right? And then when we went to L.A. on the beach down there by like Malibu area and Palisades, that was in like 69 or something like that. It was cool down there then, man. It wasn't in the late 60s, early 70s down there. It was just fantastic, man.
No, I'm just thinking, like in the 60s, the Texas of today and the Texas of the 60s were completely different. And I just had that visual picture, getting in a station wagon and going from Texas to, California and, the palm trees and bright lights and big city. And it's kind of like, what the hell?
oh, wait. You know what, though? It was more working class stuff, though. It was more like, actually we went to Torrance. I lived in Torrance for a little while. And we just got, I was spinning 45s, listening to like the Seeds. The 60s had kind of hit.
Yeah.
And then up and, and then there was Buffalo Springfield and, and that was, and then when we moved up towards the Palisades area, it was kind of like ranch house. That wasn't a fancy area then. Sure, it was middle class, maybe leaning on upper, but it was, nice ranch houses. And across my street where I lived, there was a family with 10 people in one small house. And, but there were musicians, there was what was that group? Spirit used to play, Can't Eat. Those guys would play down on the beach and shit
bands.
Like that.
Country Joe McDonald and the Fish.
But that's kind of getting off topic, but I'm just saying that, L.A. in that time was very, Americana all the way,
Mm-hmm. So what kind of
down to the...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just back. Hey, man, I'm a man of too many words, but...
No, but you know what? This is great, but I know that you're pressed for time, and I got so many questions, and I got to try and ask the right ones. And, this is one of those interviews where I wish you could go on forever, but unfortunately I can't. So
No. Ask me one more, and then we'll hit it. But appreciate you, promoting the record, and hopefully some people, will get stoked from it, from your magazine.
Well, what I'd like for you to let us know what's coming out in the future. Is there another album on the way? Is there a tour on the way? Where can people catch you?
I'm it's being a musician right now is harder than ever. There's just 8 million musicians, and so I'm up around this Bay Area. I've got lots of shows. If you look on my website, you'll see. I've got all sorts of little festivals and little gigs here and there. And then I think I'm going to, and is your audience mostly in LA or where is it?
Actually, we're read all over the world. We're a digital online music magazine. Our page automatically translates into Japanese, German, Russian.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
You can...
Well, look on the site. I try and stay reasonably busy. I'm hopefully going to Holland in May, and doing 20 dates. And then I think in September I'll be there. And in the kind of the Netherlands region, and then I'm going to be around the Bay Area in the spring and playing, and then I'll be, as far as recording, I've been doing. I'm starting a YouTube link on my. That's what I've been working on now.
Mm-hmm.
A YouTube link on my website, and I've got some really cool video up. I'm going to have that's just shot 3 songs, and then I've got some new stuff from a concert that I just did, that I just got today, that I thought looked really good. So there's some YouTube stuff. That's what I'm working on. But
we'll go ahead and we'll find the YouTube page, and we'll go ahead and simulcast that off of our YouTube page and our website. We'll get everybody into your tent.
You can take those links when I get it up. It should be up. I'll have Doug notify you,
mm-hmm.
and then we'll stay in touch here, and I appreciate it again. Thanks so much.
No problem. And you know what, Jeff? Thank you very much for being on the show. Hate to cut it short, but like I said, you're pressed for time. And
Don't worry.
Once again, everybody, thank you for listening to In the Groove with me, Joseph Timmons. Xombiewoof Magazine, sponsored by Marshall Electronics, MXL microphones, the future of audio technology available today. And I cannot stress enough, you really need to pick up this album, have it for your collection. Even if you're not normally listening to music like this is something you have to listen to. So once again, from Xombiewoof Studios, you go ahead and enjoy your evening, and we will catch you later.